Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, True Brilliance, here with the Saturn Through the Houses series, back as promised. So you guys have been asking me for the 411 on Saturn, and I am here to give you guys all of the tea spill on this very mysterious, hard-working, back-breaking planet, okay? So when you first get into astrology, one of the main planets that you learn about is the planet Saturn. And Saturn actually incites a lot of fear in a lot of people, especially when you are just new to astrology. Everybody has a lot of fear around the planet Saturn, right? Because Saturn is known to represent limitations, hardships, blockages, and all of those things that we kind of don't want to deal with. But I have a very intimate relationship with the planet Saturn. I'm a moon in Capricorn, for those of you that do not know. So I have a very intimate relationship with this planet. And over the years, I've come to really work with this planet and actually start to really understand how this planet works. So Saturn is a planet about maturity. And to be all the way honest, the people that have the most problems with Saturn are people that have not fully matured in life, or you haven't exactly set up your structure in life. And that's exactly what Saturn is trying to get us to do. Saturn is trying to get us to structure our lives and get our shit together. So as most of you guys may know, there's something called a Saturn Return, where Saturn returns to its original place that it was when you were born. It's a 28-year cycle. So around age 28, Saturn returns to the original place that it was in your birth chart, and you have your Saturn return. This is a time of grave responsibility. Sometimes the structure of our life starts crumbling down so that we can build a new structure in our lives. So it could be a time of crisis in our life, but it can also be a time of great rewards. Most importantly, it is a time of great maturity for us and tests and trials and tribulations, which is basically what Saturn is about. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is the fact that Saturn is not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom. Saturn is actually helping us. It's just the way that it trains us and the way that it gives us wisdom can sometimes be a little bit harsh, okay? So when looking at your Saturn placement, make sure you look and find what house Saturn is in. So I do believe that the sign that Saturn is placed in is very important, but the house that Saturn is placed in is going to show the area of life that you are going to experience these limitations or perceived limitations in your life, okay? And it's very important to know where your Saturn placement is, because this is the area of life that you may struggle a lot. And some people can feel like they're cursed in this area of life. It's usually an area of life that you feel very insecure about, or you don't feel as confident in this area of life, usually because you've had a lot of setbacks or you've had a lot of things not turn out in your favor in the house that Saturn is in. So the house that Saturn is in can kind of make us feel a little bit insecure about ourselves. And that's why it's so important for you to learn about your Saturn placement and learn, most importantly, what it is that you can do to fix this, okay? And to combat these feelings of insecurity and inadequacy that Saturn can cause. A few key things to know about your Saturn placement. Saturn rules time, okay? It rules time. So it takes time for Saturn's energy to come into its full fruition. So whatever house that your Saturn is placed in, that is a house that you can be a late bloomer in life, okay? So if you have like Saturn in the 7th house, you may not find a harmonious relationship until you get older in age. If you have Saturn in the 2nd house of finances, you may not get the money that you want or that you feel like you deserve, or your earning power may not really kick in until later in life, okay? If you have Saturn in the 5th house, the house of fun and entertainment, you may not really start to enjoy yourself and kick back and relax and let your inner child out until you get older in age, okay? So from my experience, Saturn doesn't really come into its full maturation until about 40, okay? So wherever I see Saturn in somebody's chart, I usually tell them you can expect for things to start working properly or you to be in your full stride when you get in about your 40s. Now, people don't want to hear this. People do not want to hear this, but I'm always honest with people because a lot of people wonder why things haven't happened for them, the area in the house that Saturn is in. It's because Saturn is there, and Saturn is slow time. It's gradual, it's step by step, it's painstaking. Okay, take it from a Capricorn moon, it's painstaking. So it takes a while for you to learn the lessons and gain the wisdom that Saturn is trying to teach you in that area of life. And usually it's accompanied by a lot of trials and tribulations. Yes, so trying things, them not working out, you having to fall on your ass, and you having to redo it, start all over again, start from scratch, okay? So the house that Saturn is placed in, that may be an area of life that you may feel that you fail a lot, or you just cannot get it right for some reason. It's really like a thorn in your side. But what you are doing is you are gaining mastery in that area of life. You are learning to become the master of that house. So start looking at it in that respect, because once you do achieve success, which is what Saturn's all about, once you do achieve success in the house that Saturn is in, you will be the master of it. You will sit at the top of the mountain. You will be the person that knows everything from A to Z about that house. And then you can actually take your knowledge and teach other people about that house. That's how good that you're going to be at that house. So please do not look at Saturn in a negative light. Don't look at it like you're doomed for the rest of your life. Don't look at it as you're doomed for the rest of your life, because you're not. You are just learning to become the master of that energy, okay? So just look at it in that way. There's always a positive way to look at situations. I try to be optimistic. Sun in the 9th house. I always try to look at the positive instead of the negative of a situation, and that's how I see it. And then also just look at it as you have something to look forward to in life. Your success is yet to come. Few key things about your Saturn placement. It is an area of life that you need to gain maturity, okay? A lot of the decisions that you make in that area or in that house may not be the most mature. It's an area of life that you need to gain maturity in, and that you need to gain wisdom, because you may not know enough about that area of life and you need to gain more understanding about it. You're going to experience blockages in the house that Saturn is placed in, and you're not going to know why. It's going to be an area of life that you're going to continue to try to succeed, but you keep on getting knocked down, and it can be very frustrating in that area of life. But it's usually something that you want really, really, really bad. You're also going to have to do hard work in that area of life. So things are not going to come easy to you in that area of life that Saturn is placed in. You're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to work hard for it. You may also have to make some sacrifices in the area of life that Saturn is placed in, okay? And when I'm saying area of life, I'm speaking of the house placements, because the house placements represent different areas of life. So just to go over it, the first house represents your individual identity and the self. Second house rules your finances, your possessions, and the things that you own. Third house rules communication in your immediate environment. Fourth house rules the home and the family and your childhood and your deepest emotions, your emotional foundation. Fifth house rules entertainment, fun, hobbies, what you do to enjoy yourself. Sixth house rules your daily routine and your health, how you take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Seventh house is your one-to-one relationships and partnerships in marriage. Eighth house is joint finances, soul bonding, deep intimacy, death, rebirth, and transformation. Ninth house is higher learning, higher education, and higher spirituality. 10th house is your overall career and public standing, your public image. 11th house is your groups and organizations, your tribe. And 12th house is the house of your unconscious and your dreams and your ideals and spirituality. So that's an overview of all the houses, okay? So we are going to go ahead and get into the Saturn placement. Okay, so now we're going to get into the 5th house, okay? This is another Saturn placement that I kind of feel bad for you guys, because the 5th house is the house of fun and creative expression, your inner child. So when you have Saturn in the 5th, it can kind of thwart all of that. Now, 5th house rules romance, dating, entertainment, and what we do for fun. So 5th house is our favorite pastime. 5th house is what brings us joy. 5th house rules children as well. Having Saturn in the 5th house, Saturn can kind of be a Debbie Downer on your good time in life. People that have Saturn in the 5th house really sometimes don't know how to enjoy themselves, or they just don't feel like they have enough fun in life. Or you may feel very awkward in those situations because Saturn's energy can make us feel awkward, inadequate, or it can make us feel like we don't fit in. So people that have Saturn in the 5th house can feel very, very uncomfortable with your creative expression. So expressing your inner child can be something that you feel very self-conscious about doing. Now, the crazy thing about Saturn in the 5th house is these people usually have crazy talent. They're usually extremely talented. They can sing, dance, act, do art, all kinds of talents that you guys have, but you may not express those things because you may feel very self-conscious about it, or there just may be a lot of blockages to your creative self-expression. So say you want to be a singer or a dancer, but there's just so many obstacles that come along with you being able to achieve that out in the world. 5th house also has to deal with fame to a certain degree. So getting a lot of attention on yourself, the spotlight always being on yourself. And people that have Saturn in the 5th house can sometimes feel like that could be a struggle for them at times. You feel like they don't get the attention or the recognition that they crave or that they need, or to get the proper recognition for their talents, gifts, and abilities. Sometimes your natural talents and gifts may need to be developed. So when you have Saturn in the 5th house, you need to work very hard at developing what your talent is and make sure that you're bringing it to the public in a structured way, in a way that makes sense. So you may have a talent, but it may be very much in the raw. It may not make a lot of sense. So Saturn wants you to make it make sense, and Saturn also wants you to get very serious about your craft. So if you just do a hobby and you just do it in the meantime or as a pastime, Saturn wants you to really turn it into something and really maybe do it professionally, since Saturn rules professionalism. Saturn also wants you to tap into what makes you unique and tap into your own unique creativity, and don't be afraid to express it, because again, people that have Saturn in the 5th house can be very self-conscious about expressing their talents, even though they may have a lot of them. Now, 5th house also rules the dating arena. So the dating arena sometimes can be something that could be a little bit hard for you guys to navigate at times. Maybe you guys feel like you guys don't get enough dating experiences since Saturn can delay things, or Saturn can just make certain things hard to come across. You may not feel like you find enough suitable people to date, or when you do start dating someone, you find that you don't really have a good time or you don't really enjoy yourself. Maybe dating is something that's a little bit too serious for you. There's too much of a serious, heavy climate in the dating arena. Maybe you take dating too serious and you put way too much pressure on it, or maybe you're very self-critical about the people that you date. Also, when you are having these dating experiences, you really need to learn to let loose and let your inner child come out to play. Again, Saturn in the 5th house people can be a little bit too serious. Have a hard time letting their hair down and just letting themselves run wild and just be you. Because 5th house rules that wild life. It's our inner child. It's laughing, playing, joking, having a good time just to have a good time. So people that have Saturn in the 5th house can sometimes feel guilty about having fun, or they may feel like they don't deserve to have fun, and everybody deserves to have fun. Or maybe you guys feel like, you know, you don't have time for fun. You don't have time for entertainment. You have to work on this. You have to do that. Or you don't make enough time out of your day or out of your week or out of your month to really enjoy yourself. Everybody needs enjoyment in their lives. That's what makes life worth living. Even if you are working super hard, what are you working super hard for? You're working super hard to enjoy yourself, to take vacations, to hang out with your friends, to date, things like that, the things that make you happy. So people that have Saturn in the 5th house really need to understand on a deep level that you do deserve to be happy just to be happy. You do deserve to enjoy yourself. Also, having self-confidence. So people that have Saturn in the 5th house can sometimes struggle with their self-confidence. You need to be confident in what it is that you bring to the table. Understand that you're a sexy person, you're attractive. Don't put so much pressure on dating. Kind of just date just to have fun. So we go on dates to enjoy ourselves, to have fun. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There's no need to get down on yourself if it doesn't turn into a relationship, which is the next house of relationships, which is the 7th house. It's okay. Sometimes we you just date just to have a good time. People that have Saturn in the 5th house, some people can like suffer with flings. So sometimes it can be hard for them to develop relationships, romantic relationships with people, because they always just get into these flings. You know, they'll date someone for a short amount of time and then it'll be over. You don't really get a chance to really enjoy the romantic part of it. Or even if you are dating someone, the romance can be lacking, that fun factor. Some people that have Saturn in the 5th house, since 5th house does rule children, some people can have blockages when it comes to having children, or you could be a little bit too strict when it comes to having children. Or some people that have Saturn in the 5th house don't even want children. They're not into that whole playful energy that 5th house represents. A good remedy for people that have Saturn in the 5th house is to be around children. Spend more time around children. That'll actually make you feel better, because you know, there may be too serious of an energy surrounding you. Also, when you have Saturn in the 5th house, you need to get serious about what it is that you enjoy. So find out what it is that you love to do. Like going to concerts? Do you like traveling? Do you like going to art shows? Do you like going to sip and paint? What is it that you like to do in your pastime? And try to do more of it. Saturn wants you to get serious about what it is that you enjoy. So take time out of your day. Schedule time to go out and enjoy yourself, because you're really missing that energy in your life. So schedule time to go out and strictly enjoy entertainment and entertaining yourself, right? Be around people that are humorous, that are funny, that bring that lighthearted vibration into your life, because you need that energy. 5th house is also about feeling inspired. So you may need some new inspiration in your life. Try something new. 5th house is fire energy. So it's about trying new things. It's about finding out what you like creatively. Even when it comes to the way that you dress or the way that you style yourself, like try a new way of dressing, change your hairstyle. Bring that spice into your life. Bring that creativity out of yourself. Bring attention to yourself. A lot of people that have Saturn in the 5th house don't like bringing a lot of attention their way. Sometimes with our Saturn placement, we kind of have to make ourselves uncomfortable in order to really get it. One more thing about Saturn in the 5th house. 5th house rules casual sex. So some people that have Saturn in the 5th house can be a little bit uptight when it comes to casual sex. And sometimes, you know, casual sex needs to be had. Sometimes you're attracted to somebody, you know this person, you like this person, and sometimes sex is just sex for enjoyment. And sometimes people that have Saturn in the 5th house don't do that, okay? Or you have too many limitations around it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the Saturn in the 5th house video. If you have this placement, please put it down below. Leave your commentary and chit chat in the comments about your experience with Saturn in the